fellow Christmas lovers and enthusiasts, you are listening to Closer to Christmas. My name is Charlie, and on this episode of Closer to Christmas, I'm going to be doing my yearly tradition and reading A Visit from St. Nicholas, also known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So a couple years back when I started this podcast, I wanted it to be a yearly tradition that on Christmas Eve I read this poem, and I guess it's kind of a selfish reason because I'm thinking maybe years down the line when I'm no longer around, my kids might stumble across this podcast and listen to it and bring back some good memories for them, because as of now, they don't listen to the show, not even really sure if they know what's going on down here when I'm recording, but maybe years down the road they will stumble across this and it will be exciting for them to listen to it. So for 2024, here is my reading of A Visit from St. Nicholas. "'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled, all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon, on the breast of the new-fallen snow, gave the luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer? With a little old driver, so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all!
As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they met with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight,
Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night!
Thank you for listening to this very special episode of Closer to Christmas, my yearly tradition on Christmas Eve to read A Visit from St. Nicholas. Remember, the next time you hear my voice and this podcast, we'll all be a little bit closer to Christmas. Thanks for listening. I would like to thank Kevin Ague for the use of his music for the intro and outro to this episode. Links to his music can be found on the show notes for this episode. If you could take a minute of your time and rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this show, it would be greatly appreciated. You could email the show at closertochristmaspodcast@gmail.com, And you could visit us online at closertochristmas.com. If you would like to have your voice heard on the show, or if you'd just like to send in a question or a comment, head over to closertochristmas.com and click on the message button. And finally, if you would like to follow our social media so you could see any pictures I might have discussed on the show, you could check us out on Twitter and Instagram, both at Closer to Xmas.
Closer to Christmas is a proud member of the Christmas Podcast Network. The Christmas Podcast Network is home to hundreds of great Christmas podcasts from all around the world.
Okay, Elfie, I'll take it from here. Make sure you visit the Christmas Podcast Network at christmaspodcasts.com.